Brahma Gururvishnu Gururdevo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. When something is eaten by us, but if it is not digested, and when the undigested stuff comes out by the wrong way, it is called as vomition. Now, there are two persons. One is a Bengali, other is a South Indian. Why are you after these two fellows? It doesn't matter. Bengalis are sweet, South Indians are very sweet, therefore. Now, a Bengali has eaten rasgulla up to the nose and he could not digest. So he brought it out as a vomit. A South Indian ate up to the nose idli sambar. And he also could not digest. He also brought out. Now we have got two examples. And both of them are vomits. Will we say, hey, this is a rasgulla vomition. This is the idli sambar vomition. No. Vomition of any food, whether the food is good or not, is not the criteria. The criteria is it digested and brought out from the right way? No. Then it is bad. If this example is clear. In the same manner, whether you study the material sciences or you study the scriptures or the spiritual science, and without digesting, if you bring it out, so spiritual science brought out without digestion is philosophy. See how important it is. It doesn't matter whether it is a rasgulla or it is a idli sambar. Importance is, have you digested? And if you have digested, whether it was a kachori or it was a bread and butter, it doesn't matter what you have eaten. What matters is, are you able to digest, assimilate and gain strength out of it? Then what you have eaten doesn't make any difference, is it not? So the basic principle is, the scriptural knowledge that we interact with, are we putting efforts for digesting that knowledge and assimilating it into our personal experience or not? See, our human mind has a flow in both the directions. In Yoga Sutra, it is said that the Chitta Nadi, the river of mind, flows in both the directions. Normally, the rivers flow in one direction, from the source to the ocean. But here, the river of mind, it can flow in both the directions. It can flow extrovert or it can flow introvert. Now the question is, how are we training our mind? So when we study any scriptural textbook as an objective science, what happens? We have got lot and lot of information. And we come under the load of information and end up into being erudite scholars. And higher the erudition, lesser is the possibility of experience. And therefore, it is very, very necessary for all of us to understand that the study of philosophy does not make us the parrots. Shankara said, Ramanuja said, Vallabha said, Nimbarka Acharya said. What do you have to say? When the class will be over and I will have a cup of tea. See? Therefore, this scriptural knowledge, when it starts flowing within, then the philosopher is getting converted into a wise man. When the scriptural study starts flowing outside, the philosopher is getting converted into an otherwise man. See? Now we have to decide whether this opportunity the Lord has given to all of us in this world, that we are exposed to the scriptures, we study them, we prepare notes, we do everything. But are we applying that knowledge in our own life so that what is said is experienced? And when what is said is experienced, or in other words, when what is experienced is said, it has got a different value. Take a simple example. Suppose I give you, the students, an assignment. Don't worry, I am not going to give you. I give an assignment. Come on, students. Now, each individual student will be given an assignment. You speak on the childhood of Einstein. You speak on the childhood of Mahatma Gandhi. You speak on the childhood of John F. Kennedy. You speak on the childhood of Vivekananda. You speak on the childhood of Veerappan. So, these are the assignments. What will you do? You will go to the library and dig the books, take out notes, and prepare and come well prepared. After you come, you are given time. You have to present your thoughts in 15 minutes. Now the student starts speaking on the prepared topic. And he will tell, Mahatma Gandhi was born, when he was a child, he was doing like this, when he was a child, he was doing like that, and this happened, that happened in his life, this thing, that thing, over. And suppose your lecture is over in 5 minutes or 7 minutes. You will want to go away from the podium and, thank God it's over. But if a teacher like me will tell you, you cannot leave the podium before 15 minutes are over. But I have nothing to talk. Then you stand like a stupid person there. But you cannot leave. You have to live your life fully. You cannot say, my work is over, I want to commit suicide. Who allows you to commit suicide? So, for the next 5-6 minutes, the student is frustrated. I don't know. Again he sees the notes and one point I remember. You know, when Mahatma Gandhi was a child, he was behaving like an elderly man. And when he was old, he was behaving childishly. Somehow or the other, you are collecting the information from your own collected information and make something. And trying to fill in that gap of 5 minutes. Is it not? Now, after this experiment is over, then second experiment. I call any one of you, without telling you in advance. I call Mr. So and so. Please come and talk about your childhood. Will you say, Swami, excuse me, you have not given us any time for preparation. Other students, you have given time to prepare 1 week. And here you suddenly tell about your childhood. Will you say that? No. On the contrary, it will be a problem for me to keep your mouth shut. Because when you start talking about your childhood, you are not talking about the collected information, but you are bringing out your own personal, immediate, direct experiences. Is it not? See the difference? A philosopher talks on the prepared material from the scriptures. A wise man speaks from the platform of his experience. Therefore, when philosophy is applied in our own life, it is called as wisdom. When wisdom is freely distributed to others, it is called as philosophy. See the difference? And for that purpose, we all Indians are philosophers. We have got solution for everybody's problem except our own. You know, who is an Indian? Somebody asked me. And I said, there are many qualities of an Indian. First, an Indian is expert in somebody else's business, not in his own. Second is, an Indian is a born philosopher. Third thing, an Indian can take tea anytime. There is nothing like tea time. Many times, the other day, where I reached, last year I think, I reached Jaipur, and the flight was supposed to land in the evening at 8 or 9 o'clock, but because of weather or something, it went on delaying and landed at 12 o'clock at night. And there was no need that a group of 20 people are waiting for taking food at 12 o'clock. And when I am coming by flight, I get food in the flight. So I said, don't be formal, you finish your thing, disappear, only let the driver come and take me. Tomorrow we'll see. But if they listen to us, then they are not there, we are not we. So at 12 o'clock we landed, and by the time we reached the house, it was 1:45. And at 1:45, a full-fledged dinner. Only Indians can think, nobody can think. And the tragedy is, because it was late, they have given us very good meals in the flight. I have consumed all that because I eat everywhere. I don't have any obsession about food, except we should not be living beings, that's all. So, when I came, I had already, no, we have been waiting for you. How can we live like that? And at 1 o'clock, you can imagine, I was persecuted with sweets. Sweet persecution. So this is what Indians are. Therefore, philosophy is very easy to preach. Wisdom is very difficult to practice. When we practice philosophy, we grow wise. And the beauty of spiritual life is a spiritual seeker grows wise with every additional interaction with the world. Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives the definition of a wise man in Bhagavad Gita 2-3 places. In one place he says, Gatasu na gatasuscha nanushocanti panditaha. Panditaha, the wise people, they do not grieve for gata asuna, agata asuna. Asu means prana. So wise people do not grieve because somebody dies, and they do not grieve when somebody doesn't die. We grieve for both. Marta bhi nahi. See? So what are the signs of a wise man? He is ever cheerful, happy, and nothing disturbs him in this world. But when I have carried so much of knowledge, I have written so much of books, but people don't understand my value. One elderly person, he was telling me about his family people. He said, Swamiji, I have been studying Aurobindo. I have studied Vivekananda. I know everything. But my own children, they don't take the benefit of my wisdom. This is the only regret that I have. I said, are you wanting to victimize me or what? See, the moment you feel sad or bad about anything in this world or because of anything in this world, the wisdom has not started flowering in us. So, if this point is very clear, then we go to the next step. The one who is studying philosophy And the one who is walking the spiritual path is a common factor called as the ego. The world is not in bondage. So the world does not require any spiritual practice. The sun, the moon, the stars, the plant, the rivers, the five great elements, they don't require any spiritual practice because they are not suffering. God, the Creator, He also doesn't require any spiritual practice because He is enjoying the game of life. Now, in between the two, the field and the umpire is the jiva, the individual being. Now it is this individual, the soul, the jiva, or in English we call it as ego. This ego is the one who is either studying philosophy and becoming miserable or practicing spiritual life and growing wise. See? And therefore, what is required is we try to understand who is this ego. This is one of the most important inquiry which is a must for every spiritual seeker. With philosophy, ego fattens. With spirituality, ego weakens to such an extent that the ego disappears. Like Rabindranath Tagore wrote in one of his poems, there was a cow, she started grazing, and she went on grazing to disappear in the lawns. See? The ego who starts inquiry about what is my position. In that inquiry, when the ego disappears, the path was that of spiritual path. And when the study of the scriptures and inquiry culminates into crystallization and enforcement of the existing ego, then it is a case of philosophical studies. How important it is. Philosophy takes you away from the reality, and spirituality takes you away from the philosophy. How important. Therefore, let us find out who is this ego. Now, these are the days of a World Cup, isn't it? We have to know 4 factors according to the science of spirituality. 4 factors are: what is this world? Second, who is this jiva or the ego or the soul? Who is this God who has created this world? When a frustrated poets are normally frustrated. You know, I received in Jaipur 2-3 books. Somebody gave me. Swami, this is for you. So I just kept it. And when I was packing, I just saw, what is the book? Books written by a poet and freely distributed, yet nobody wants. So, such a frustrated poet in this world, not knowing how to live, he writes a Hindi cinema song. दुनिया बनाने वाले काहे को दुनिया बनाई. When such a thought comes in our mind, understand we are a gone case. Today I went to this girls' school, Balika Vidyapit. One sweet girl came and asked me a question. Swamiji, Vivekananda told that we should think about death. And therefore I am thinking about death. And my mother is becoming very angry. Don't be stupid, don't think about death. Now I don't understand what to do. Vivekananda tells think about death. Mother tells don't think about death. What I should do? I said, you are becoming a philosopher. You know, I'll give another example of a philosopher. There was a centipede. You know centipede? And cut. And that centipede was comfortably going. With the waves of his legs, he was going. And from nowhere, a crow came and landed near the centipede and started talking. Now don't ask, how can the crow talk the centipede language? It is possible. Because you don't understand doesn't mean the centipede doesn't understand. He understands. So the crow started asking, excuse me, Mr. Senti, I am walking on two legs. So I know how I walk. First of all, I lift the left leg, put it. Then after that I lift the second leg, then put it. Then after that I lift the left leg, then I put it. And in this manner I know how I walk. But you have got hundreds of feet. How do you decide which foot to put when and how you walk? Thereafter, the centipede could never go one step further. Because he started thinking, Arey, how I walk? See, philosophy stops you where you are. Because uncalled for thinking. So to this girl I said, look here. What Vivekananda has said and what your mother has said, both of them are right. How can both them be right? I said, if you allow me to talk, I'll talk. I said, all right. I said, what Vivekananda said, think about death means what? Means remember that you have got a very short time at your disposal. Make best use of the time that is at your disposal. This is what Vivekananda said. Oh, I thought, think about death. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And die before death? I said, then you are becoming a philosopher. Don't do that. When you know for certain that you have to die, you have got very little time at your disposal. Make best use of it and bring out the best in you. That is what is meant by the great master. And what your mother told, don't think about death, she means think about living and not about dying. The other day, one young boy came after my talk, probably IIT Kharagpur. He said, Swamiji, who am I? So I kept quiet. He said, no, I want to know who am I? So I said, shall I tell you the truth or the bluff? Because I got both stock ready. He said, for a change, tell the truth. I said, all right, listen. And I told him, you are a fool of the first order. Do you mean Bhagwan Raman Maharshi was a fool? I said, no, I don't mean that. But then how do you say? Because this question was asked by Raman Maharshi. I said, not to me. I am talking to you. I am not talking to Raman Maharshi. Then who am I? I said, I very clearly told you are a fool. Can you ask a question to anybody? You are taking food and then you ask, excuse me, is my stomach full? So what reply will come? Your stomach is full or I don't know, but your head is full. See? So, when we are wanting to know the truth, these are the four factors to be clearly recognized what they are. The world, the creator of the world, rather than why he created the God, why he created the God. First of all, find out who is that guy. The other day somebody asked me, Swamiji, why God has created this world? I said, have I created? No. Then why do you scold me? You go and ask the God. I have not created, the God has created. Go and catch his collar and ask him. So, who is this world? What is this world? Who is the creator of this world? And then the third question, what is our position in this total creation? 3. And we will be concluding that the world is one team. World Cup. So world is one team. The jivas or egos is the second team. And God, the creator, is the umpire. And all the time, jivas are batting. The world is bowling. When it is a wonderful ball, the umpire doesn't appreciate. When there is a sixer, the umpire doesn't appreciate. He simply throws his hands up. When it is a 4, he doesn't say, well done. He simply tells it is a 4. When he does something wrong, he tells you are wrong. This is the position of the world, the individual jiva and the God. In this, the world is constantly bowling on us with a series of experiences, good and bad. Your ability is how are you able to play every ball that is bowled towards you. Are you able to defend? Are you able to give a beautiful cut? Are you able to hit a sixer? Are you able to protect yourself from every ball? Then you can go on hitting centuries. But if with every ball, my God, coming, gone, very good, still there, very good. This is how we live in life. And then we complain, this umpire, he is bad, because of him I am out. Umpire was neither bowling nor fielding. How can you be out because of him? Think. Therefore, in this whole matrix of Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, Jiva, the soul, the ego, Jagat, the world, Ishvara, the creator, these 3 factors are mutually dependent. Any system of mutual dependent variables is supported by something which is independent of the 3, isn't it? When as a child, I was always fascinated by one thing, and I did lot of experiments and failed. The experiment was, when the bicycle pedal goes up and when it goes down, the left will come up. And then when the left one will go down, the right will come up. So once we set it in motion, why doesn't it keep moving like that? Why we have to press again? I could never solve that riddle. Then, when they are having the big turbines run because of the pressure of the water, and once the turbines are moving and they are generating the electricity, why do we require water? Why not we connect the generated electricity to the turbine? And the turbine is again moving and it is creating electricity and it goes on and on. Why it doesn't work? That was my logic. And I could never understand where I was going wrong. Any system of mutually dependent variables is supported by something which is independent of them in the same manner. These 3 variables, the world, the egos and the God, they are mutually dependent on each other. If from the cricket field, team A walks out, is there any reason why the team B should be there? And when team A and team B has gone out, what for the umpire will stay there? So the presence of team A, team B and the umpire is mutually dependent. And And all the three things are supported by the ground on which they are playing. Suppose the team A goes away, the team B goes away, or the umpire goes away. The ground has nothing to do by the presence of the teams, by the play of the match, or they are walking away. That ground is independent reality. And these three factors, the two teams and the umpire, they are relative reality. Umpire is not a permanent umpire. He is umpire only for that match. Think. In the same manner, unless we are clear about these three factors, what is the world? Who am I who is suffering or enjoying? Who is this God who has created this world and sitting about the clouds eating mungfali and throwing the packets of miseries to the chosen individuals? I am number one. Why the God has created this world? All these problems will disappear the moment you are able to analyze and work out even one of them. So when you work on the world as the area of inquiry, you are following the path of action or karma. When you are working on the ego, who is this individual who is suffering and enjoying? You are following the path of yoga. And when you want to know who is this God who has created this world, you are following the path of devotion. And when you are neither enchanted by the activities, nor you are enchanted by the self-discipline, meditation, yogasana, pranayam, pratyahar, nor you have that emotional, commotional mind constantly crying, papoham, papakarma. You have none of them. But God has blessed you with an acute intellect by which you are able to inquire subjectively. For such a seeker is the fourth path of inquiry. And when you thus inquire about any one of them, and where from to begin? We begin from ourselves. And when you start inquiring about who is this one who is suffering or enjoying, and in that inquiry you come to discover that there is none who is real, who is suffering or enjoying. So now we'll try to analyze who is this ego. And you will see that in the inquiry of the ego disappears. And what remains thereafter is the reality. And that in that reality there is no trace of ego. And when the impurity of the ego disappears from the knowledge, the divinity and the divine bliss is an effortless experience of being. And that is what we are all seeking. So let us now find out what this ego is. So let us take few examples to understand this ego. Suppose we start a car. So when we start a car, ignite it. The moment you ignite the car engine, the horsepower is generated, is it not? Now you switch off the engine. When you first time ignited the engine, let us for our understanding call it as HP1. Then you switch off. When you switch off, there is no horsepower generated. Then second experiment, again immediately after 2 minutes, again you switch on the engine. Now again horsepower will be generated. Let us call it as HP2. Now a series. Thus we have HP1, HP2 up to HPN times experimented conducted. Now, the HP1, is it the same as HP2? The HP2, is it the same as HP3? The HP3, is it the same as HPN? And the HPN, is it the same as HP1? Now this is the inquiry. Now you decide. In the car, you have got an engine. In that car, you have got a petrol. When the engine and the petrol are there in the car, yet the car does not move. If you pour the petrol on the engine like a Shivalinga, the car won't move. So who is moving the car? Neither the engine nor the petrol, but a phenomena called as the generation of horsepower. Then that horsepower is able to move both the weight of the engine and the energy of the petrol. Now this horsepower which is generated in every experiment we conducted, H1, H2, HP, H3, HP, like that, are they the same or different? Now tell me. Please respond. Will you call the HP1 is equal to HP2 is equal to HP3 is equal to HP4? No. If they are not different, if they are not same, they are different from each other. This you agreed being in this institution. Now go one step further. Come subjectively. You have seen dream number 1. In that dream, you were a king. And the dream is over. Then next day you have seen a dream. In that dream, you were a beggar. Then the third dream. In that dream, you were a student. There was a child who got up in the morning and started crying. Hey. So the father said, hey, what is this early morning you are crying for nothing? Dad, I had a very bad dream. What happened? I failed in the examinations in the dream. So dad said, even in the dream you cannot pass? So, we have seen 4 dreams. So there are 4 dreamers, is it not? Now will you say the dreamer number 1 who was a king, the dreamer number 2 who was a beggar, the dreamer number 3 who was a student, are these 3 personalities the same or different? They are different from it. They are not the same. If this you are accepting in your dream experience, one step further, do you dream the dream as a dream, or you call the dream as a dream after waking up? After waking up, is it not? During the dream, we all dream as if it is a solid reality. So the dream is labeled as dream only when you are awakened to the next plane of consciousness. Now, from this understanding, dream and waking experiences are equal. There is no difference whatsoever. Now, if one dreamer is different from the second dreamer is different from the third dreamer is different from the fourth dreamer, on what count do we say waker number 1 of 3 days before, the one who was in Bombay, I was in Bombay, thereafter I slept, 1 day passed, then next day I was in Bangalore. So the one who was in Bangalore, then after that I was in Delhi, then the one who was in Delhi, And now I am in Pilani, the one who is in Pilani on the fourth day. If four dreamers are different from each other, on what count we say that the four wakers are the same? This is very difficult to digest, friends. If you are able to digest this understanding in a fraction of moment, you are able to discover the joy that you are. It is as simple as that. One person asks, how much time it takes to realize? How much time it takes for the wife to become a woman? That much time. Because the woman alone can be wife. I am talking under Indian conditions. In the Western world, even the boy can become a wife. That's a different issue. So, only this much understanding is required to be corrected. Now see, here is a garland. What I am talking to you is on the basis of Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, this thought comes. Mattaha parataram nasti kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Now here in this garland, there are individual flowers. And all of them are put together, and there is a continuity. And that which is bringing the continuity is hidden inside each flower, is it not? We are not able to see that factor which is bringing the continuity. So on the surface level, what is our understanding? It is a continuous flower. It is a continuous experience. So when I have experiences in the waking world, each experience is like an independent flower. And all those experiences are put into a garland by the thread of the reality which is continuous, which is not broken. Now what is happening? What we do, we take the individual experiences and we take the underlying continuity and make a non-existing hypothesis that I, the experiencer of this world, is a continuous entity. Think, the moment you are able to halt yourself at one experience, don't continue the experiences, halt at one experience. The moment you halt at one experience, the experiencer along with the experienced world disappears. And thereafter, you are left with experiencing without an experiencer. That experiencing is a present continuous tense in the language of English grammar. When I talk of experience, when I went to Jaipur, it was such lovely food every day I was eating, my God. So I am talking of the past. And the more I talk of the past, I am gathering the old flowers and making into a garland of non-existing continuity. See? In deep sleep, what happens? Each and every experience that was gathered is totally null and void. And in deep sleep, we have got only one experience, and that is of being. There is no sequence in deep sleep. Because there is no sequence, there is no time. Because there is no time, there is no space. Because there is no time and space, there is no object. Because there is no object, there is no objectivity. And because there is no objectivity, there is objectless awareness. And therefore, every one of us dies to go to sleep. Why? Think. It's only because that is our original state. Unless we come back to our original state of being, we can never find fulfillment. In Upanishad, a story is told. A bird is tied down by a thread. One end of the thread is tied down to the leg of the bird. The other end of the thread is tied down to a particular branch. And there is no cage. And the bird is left to its own glory. What the bird will do? It will try to fly. How long will it fly? To the radius which is equivalent to the length of the thread. What will be the type of movement? It will be only circular. It cannot be a straight line. Therefore, time is not a straight line. Time is a circular phenomena. So when the bird is just running around, flying around in a circle, how long it will fly? Till he has strength in his wings. When he gets tired, he will come back and land on the same branch where he was tied down. Then he will feel comfortable. The same thing is true. The bird of ego, tied down on one end through the thread of mind to the reality, and the another thread of the mind is tied down to this ego bird, and this ego is constantly running in circles and circles in this world. From one object to another object, from one experience to another experience, from waking to the dream, dream to the deep sleep to the waking, and constantly running. And when he finds peace, when he comes back, gives up all efforts, and when he gives up all efforts, comes back. Therefore, in deep sleep, we are neither rich nor poor, neither man nor woman, neither in 2003 nor in 1942. Everything disappears. We are neither in the west nor in the east, neither above nor below, neither successful nor failure, neither mother nor father. All the loads of individual flowers that we were carrying and making a fool of us. Flowers are called as fools, isn't it? And out of those fools, we create a garland of a non-existing entity called as the ego. Be very attentive. And longer the past, meaning more the number of flowers in each garland, longer is the garland. So longer the past, stronger the ego. Now, this garland, suppose it has got 108 flowers. Now, we remove half of them, only 54 flowers. So it will be a short garland. Then we remove, we keep only 10 flowers, still short garland. And we remove all flowers but one. Only one flower. Can you make a garland out of one flower? No. Friends, when you come in your meditation to a position of standstill, there is no sequence, there is no past tense, there is no future tense. When these two tenses disappear, You are not in present tense because tenses have disappeared. Then you are the presence. No more present. The moment you transcend time, sequences disappear. The world disappears. The creator of the world disappears. And you come to discover what a big bluff this is. And I was unnecessarily becoming so serious in this world. Think. The other day I gave you example. An artist acting on the stage, crying because he is so miserable, and all the audience taking out the tissue papers and saris and shirts and everything and also crying. That time what is going on in the hearts of the actor? You fools, I am paid for fictitious crying and you are paying and really crying. That is the joy of converting philosophy into spiritual experience. Therefore, friends, you take any approach, either inquire about the world, or inquire about yourself, or inquire about God, or go beyond all inquiries and come to discover that you are that ground on which the World Cup of the world all versus the egos all. The match is incessantly going on and the God, the Creator, is watching from a distance as an umpire. And therefore, when somebody dies, God doesn't feel bad because it is a match. When somebody's catch is missed, the umpire is not congratulating, hey, lucky boy. No. When you look at the whole world with this understanding, and with that understanding, start living. When understanding becomes conviction, then alone we can live. And when we start living the knowledge, it becomes light of wisdom. Then we are freed from the load of knowledge and we are floating in the light of wisdom. Friends, this is a freedom given to all of us by the Lord. We are in this world to express the inherent divinity that every one of us is. And for that, these four paths which are given in our scriptures, what they tell, I'll tell you in short, and then we conclude. The first path that is spoken of is the path of action or karma yoga. In this path, there are two aspects. One is the principle, and second is how to come out of the limitation of action. So the principle is the cause and effect. The most stupid thing in this world is giving undue importance to cause and effect. But the intelligent people are the victims of stupidity. Therefore, they every day want to know, but why God has created miseries? So to that foolish question, there cannot be a wise answer. It has to be super foolish. So we are told, you know why there is suffering? Because these people have done something wrong in their last life. I was once in Delhi, and when we were going somewhere, and lot of traffic jam, so we stood. And next to that, there was a divider and some plants. So that lady was driving me, she said, Swamiji, I always feel so bad for these plants, you know. All the emissions go on them. Why God makes them like this? I said, don't blame gods. These are not ordinary plants. What are they? I said, these are Indian politicians. who never wanted to leave Delhi even after death. So they are planted over there. And whatever they have persecuted the Indian population, now they are getting it back. See, this cause and effect, the action, the law of action. If you have done something wrong, you get misery in this world. If you get something good in this world because of your past good actions. Oh, I understood. Then, if you don't behave properly now, you are digging your grave afterwards in the next life. Therefore, behave properly. So you start leading a life of righteous code of conduct, becomes the foundation of your life. This is how we control our behavior and start leading an intelligent life, because of which we can free ourselves from our own snare that we have created out of ourselves. Path of karma. Then second is the path of yoga, wherein we are victims of our own problems. If there is the biggest problem in this world, it is we and none else. Atmaiva atmano bandhu, atmaiva ripuratmana. We are our real friends and we are our real enemies. When we become our enemies, when we are not self-disciplined, we are our enemies. When we are perfectly self-disciplined, we are our friends. And when you thus discipline yourself, and in the process of discipline, you come to a point where Yoga Shastra says, Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. When you come to a point when there is zero thought, when there is zero thought, there is no garland of thoughts possible. Your mind comes to a perfect standstill. Mind without thoughts is consciousness. That is what is our real nature. But we are neither able to do the karma properly, nor we are able to have self-discipline. What you can do? I can cry. Very good. Then take the symbols in the hand. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Very good. Bore that God, so he will come down. Don't cry. What do you want? God, I am not able to do anything. I am good for nothing. Yet I want reservation in realization. Tathastu. Come here. Don't cry. Don't destroy my creation. So these people who are neither capable, but they have one great quality, they can cry for God. We all cry for the world. Those who can cry for the God, for them is the path of devotion. That also takes you to the same reality. And when you are able to go beyond all this and focus your attention on your own nature, who is this me who is suffering and enjoying? As we analyze, then you come to discover that this absolute I has nothing to do with the relative I. We transcend the relativity and come to the absolute. And absolute is always one without a second. There cannot be two absolutes. This absolute reality is revealed to none but to itself. This is how this philosophical approach, when applied on yourself, it becomes a spiritual path. But when spirituality is meant for free distribution, it is becoming philosophy. Let us convert this philosophical knowledge into experiential wisdom and liberate ourselves from all the limitations of relative existence. Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.